Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to J Daddy's Garage. It is Monday, February 5th, 2024. That's right, we are in the first week of February. Hope everybody has had a good week and is at least getting something done on their projects. That's always the goal here. So I hope that you saw the latest videos that I posted. I know I did a follow-up video or kind of a background video of the area that I live in. And I know I had shared that previously with my patrons, and I thought this would be a good one just to use because it was available and I didn't have to, go film it. Because I don't have much to put out on the channel as far as content at this point. As you all know, I'm recovering and I've got the Cobra Jet sitting here, but things are going very well with my post-surgery recovery. I'm feeling really good. Now I still have a few minor discomforts here and there, but overall I'm doing really good. I've been walking, trying to put in 2 to 3 miles a day if I can, if the weather's permitting, and that is going very well. And I think that's actually helping with everything, healing, let's say. So things are good, and I'm looking forward to next week. Next week will be this past Friday was 3 weeks post-op, so this coming Friday will be 4 weeks, and I'm really thinking that I'm going to be able to dig back in and get some work done on the Cobra Jet. I have some updates on that as well. We'll move forward with that in just a minute. But the first shout out I want to give is to Jeff. So thank you, Jeff, for the super sticker. I appreciate that so much. It helps. It really does. I know it may be, it's a good amount to donate. I appreciate you for doing that. And it does help with everything that I'm doing right now. So shout out. And Jeff has also said, hi all, and Barry, hope everyone is well. Thank you, Jeff, and I appreciate you so much. Now let's get back up here to the main thing. I wanted to give him that shout out before his the little timer runs out that they put on the that screen, or that donation, let's say. So again, I'm recovering. I'm doing pretty well, and I'm really looking forward to getting into the Cobra Jet again. I did have a conversation this past week with another gentleman who has interest in me working on his 67 Cougar. We did a walk around FaceTime video of his car, and it could be a potential project for me. I haven't committed to anything like that just yet. As you all know, I have the Cobra Jet, and I have several things that I need to do on my own. One of those is to get the Kilmer sheet metal finished, get the basket case all put together, and then sell it the way it is. I'm probably going to look at finishing up, again, the few small details, let's say with Jade, putting that car up for sale. And then I have my dune buggy that I need to sell. I'm gonna end up selling it at some point, But that's another thing that's going to be in the to-go type of list. Now, updates on the Cobra Jet. I've been in talks with Tammy, who is now in charge of the project, and she's been trying to get companies to take stuff back, and some have agreed to that, and some have not, unfortunately. So there's items that I have here that we're not going to use for the car that will be put up for sale. Now, Street and Track I'll give them a shout out, Street and Track, and I'll probably do a future shout out to them on a regular video. They willingly took back all the stuff that he had ordered from them, and that was the brakes, spindles, and a few other things. They'll take all that stuff back. Total Control, I think it is the other one, and they have refused to take stuff back at this point. Yeah, Street or Track, they took their stuff back. Total Control, whatever it is, Chris Allstott, they have refused at this point to take back those items. TCP, Total Control products. That, if you look back in the earlier, let's say some of the earlier videos of the Cobra Jet, that was the control arms and the upper and lower control arms. There's some shocks, and there is a manual rack and pinion. So Charles had his goal was to have the manual rack and pinion with the E-Pass power assist. I think she's working on getting the E-Pass sent back, and at this point we're going to probably try to either find a buyer for the Total Control products. So if you're interested in that, let me know. I'll put up the email if you all don't know my email already, joe.garage@gmail.com, and I can share information with you about that. Street and Track took back their products now, and I can't blame them for this. They did not recover shipping, and you can't. It's just not fair to them to have to pay for shipping costs whenever it's not. They could just say no, and you're stuck with whatever you ordered. So I give a shout out to them for being helpful in this. Talked to the owner of the company, and he even suggested maybe he and I could work together on something in the future, and because I told him about the YouTube channel and all that sort of thing, and so that he may be open to that. But at this point, we have to eliminate some of the other things. One of the other items that went back was, I know, the carbon fiber rear bumper. So that company, I forget who made that, they took it back. The engine parts, and this is really unfortunate. Charles had ordered a bunch of stuff. Likens, I think, is the company. And I think what Likens does is they are kind of a distributor for a variety of items. So if you place an order with them, they get it from somebody else, box it all up, and then send it to you. He had placed the order the day before he passed away. And, she didn't know anything about this stuff. So now they have, at this point, just refused to take back any of those items. Never been out of the box. Nothing wrong with them. We're talking pistons, crankshaft, rocker arms. I forget what all. There's a variety of things. Quite expensive when you add everything up. And again, Likens has said, no, we're not going to do that. Now, they may change their mind. They may, if she calls them a few more times, maybe they can have a conversation about that. Maybe they'll take that stuff back. But at this point, that's where we're at with those items. There's some other stuff from Holly. I have the fuel tank for the fuel injection setup. She has a twin pair of snipers. There's some other control pieces associated with all that. So she's trying to get some of that sent back as well. And it really gets complicated because, like Holly, they have products that, Holly owns like this whole giant range of product lines now. So, if you're ordering something from Holly, it may show up from somebody else, but it's sold through the Holly name and all that stuff. So it gets complicated. But she's trying to get all that stuff squared away, and I'm trying to help her as much as I can. So that's where we're at the moment. Okay, let's continue on. And I want to give a shout out to anybody who is new to this live stream. If you are here for your first time, welcome. If you would, let me know you're here, participate, and you get a bell for being here. Just a little thing that I, give freely. We have a great group of people here. So if you have a question about your project or a subject matter you want to bring up, by all means, bring it up. We'll talk about it. And if I have some information to give, I will. If not, I have a great group of people over there in the chat box who usually have a lot of times better information than I have. So I appreciate everybody who participates in as part of this. Okay, take a breath. Here we go. So the first one in tonight is Ed Cucciarella. Greetings from rainy Southern California. Went to the Grand National Roadster Show over the weekend. Ooh, that would be cool. I'll bet that was fun. So sorry about the rain. I know California's getting hammered, and stay as dry as you can and avoid the mudslides by all means. Steve Reed. Hello, everyone. Hello, Steve. Glad you're here. Brian B. Glad you're here, Brian. Terry Keithley. Hi, all, and Barry. Please hit the like and thumbs up for Barry. Thank you kindly. Yes. Thank you, Terry. Let me pull this banner down real quick. Again, if you want to contact me, send me an email about the equipment or the parts that we're going to be selling. Rick Stevenson. Hello, everyone. Hello, Rick. Glad you're here. Jerry, good evening to all from Middle Tennessee. Thumbs up. Yes, and this is for Rick. Always got to have a coffee. Glad you're here, Jerry. Nandu. Hi, everyone. Hope you're doing good. Thank you, Nandu. Likewise. Crash Rider from a pretty nice day in southern Indiana. Greetings to everyone. Be sure to give JD a big thumbs up. Hope your recovery is still doing well. Yes, it is. Thank you, sir. Yeah, I'm really, really quite happy with where I'm at with all this. There are other things that I do. Not that it really matters. I work on cars. I go for walks and all these sort of things. And believe it or not, my wife and I like to play pickleball. Pickleball is a lot of fun. And I haven't played pickleball in well over 3 weeks now because I've had surgery. I'm itching to get back to playing pickleball as well. I really do enjoy that. It's exercise. It's fun with friends. And I'm hoping that I can get back to that within the next couple weeks. I'm not pushing it, but it's one of those things that I want to do. So if you haven't played pickleball, give it a shot. You might like it. Let's see, Robert. The Infernal Craftsman. Evening all. Spring is in full force here, and summer is just weeks away. Glad you're here, Robert. We may bring Robert on in a little bit, too. Bob Shoemaker. Good evening all from Oklahoma. Rained out weekend, but sunny today. That's good to hear. Glad you're here, Bob. Troy Justick. Good evening from a rainy coastal Georgia. Glad you're here, Troy. We already heard from Jeff earlier. Greetings, or hi, all and Barry. I hope everyone is doing well. Yes, thank you. And Roger, Hindsight 67, greetings from next door. Glad you're here, Raj. Dennis Paulson says hi. Glad you're here, Dennis. And Jorge Sanchez, hi, Barry. Now, how's the weather? It's raining here in Los Angeles. It's been okay. It rained here last night. It was raining most of the day yesterday, honestly. And it's they're cooler temperatures still, but I think we're progressing. Currently, it's 49 degrees, and we're going to see. I think we're done getting past the freezing point of anything. So tomorrow, low 36, high 59. Wednesday, high 58, and then 64, 67. So we're going to have some nice, comfortable weather here in the next few days. Glad you're here, Jorge. Dave Tyson. Good evening, all. It's first Dave sighting. Glad you're here, Dave. Harvey checking in, Rally Cat Garage. Hello, Barry from Rally Cat Garage Home Base in the shop working on Tina, the Mustang, and watching at the same time. Awesome. Glad you're here, Harvey. Robert Bloxham. Hello, all. Hello, Robert. And Dave Conville from New Jersey. Our second Dave sighting. Mr. Mikey, howdy y'all from the south end of Texas, sort of 60s and partly sunny today. Well, that's good. That's positive. When you say it's partly sunny, that's a good thing, right? Because if you say it's partly cloudy, that's more on the negative thing. Partly sunny sounds better. Rusty is checking in. Hello, Barry and all from southern Indiana. Beautiful weather today. We're glad you're here, Rusty. Dennis Paulson. Hi, Barry and gang. Hope everyone is okay. The Great White North, not good. Rocky Mountains needs snow. North side of my house has 6 inches. Snow should be over 36 inches. Ooh, you know what? It's not only there. I saw on the news that over in, what is it, Sweden or Switzerland, over in Europe, it's supposed to be snow on all these mountains over there, and it's too warm for them to even have the snow machines making snow. That's not a good sign. That is not a good sign. But yeah, you're right. You need to have more snow out in Rocky Mountains for sure. Otherwise, there's no photo ops. You want to have good photo ops, nice puffy snow everywhere. But yeah, there's other countries that need snow for their ski industry and all that sort of thing. They have nothing. I saw the pictures were like green grass growing, and there was no snow at all. So that's not a good sign. Clark Clifford, a great group of people, and me too. Yes, glad to hear Clark. Troy, if you post a list of the parts that are left, maybe some of us who need them could buy them. Yeah, I could probably post it. I don't know. I couldn't post it right here. But essentially, if you looked at those the video where I was putting the shock towers on, I think it was, where I put the shock towers on the car, I was showing the pieces. So there's got tubular lower control arm, a tubular upper control arm, set of shocks, and of course the rack and pinion. I did take pictures of all this stuff because it may end up on a forum somewhere, and I may go ahead and post them on my Joe Daddy Facebook page to try to get any input there. These parts aren't cheap, and we can't sell them like there's not going to be any kind of half off thing. They're brand new. There's nothing wrong with them. So she's trying to get as much money back as she possibly can. And I know it's difficult for all of us to not try to go, I'll give you X, right? So I will try to post at least on the Facebook page, and I don't know where else I could put them up specifically, but I don't have time to put them up right here, but that's a good idea. Dwight Douglas, good evening all. Been watching videos from Sick Week. Oh. Well, I hope you're recovering. I hope you're feeling better. Glad you're here, Dwight. Dennis Paulson, hi Barry and gang. Hope everyone is good. Hi, Dennis. Glad you're here. Amateur Hour Restorations. Hey, Barry. Hey, Amateur Hour. D. Lace, salute. Well, salute to you, sir. Glad you're here. Jeff Ashlock. Hello from Kentucky. Hello, Jeff. Glad you're here. Cool truck. It's like about a 68 in the thumbnail. I can't really tell for sure. Dawn's Manufactory. Glad you're here, Dawn. And shout out to Dawn, who has I believe it was great-grandson. Is that right? I'm pretty sure that's what he said. Pretty sure he said a great-grandson. So if I'm correct, shout out, Dawn. I'm pretty sure you told me a great-grandson. Yeah. I know I have it on here. Somewhere. Yeah. Great-grandson. Yes, that's correct. So, again, congrats, Dawn. That's fun. Michael Pagliarini, hello all. My neighbor and myself made a 2.5-hour drive each way to pick up a C4 tranny, one of the big missing pieces. Well, that's a good drive. That's a good drive. You know what? Here's a funny thing about that. I saw this video the other day, and it's this guy from England who is living here in the States. And he's talking about the differences between the U.S. and Europe, and how people, it could be anything from food items to drinks and all kinds of stuff. And one of the things he talked about, because apparently it's a big thing over in Europe that they say, oh, it's a long drive to get from point A to point B, whatever that may be. And then he compared that to how we look at a drive here in the U.S. Like over there, they might say, oh, that's a 60-mile drive. That's going to take too long, or it's a long distance, or, whatever. And here in the States, we're like, oh, I drive that far to work, or even further at times. But one of the things he pointed out, and just your comment there made me think about that directly. You said a 2.5-hour drive. Over there, they don't do it in time. We do it in time. They do it in actual distance, right? And I think the reality is, for us, time is more accurate. I can realize, okay, I'm going to drive 2.5 hours and know that I'm going to get to that location. If you tell me it's this number of miles, there's no, this number for the mileage. Um, it doesn't mean I'm going to get there in 2.5 hours. See what I'm saying? I think we're more accurate in that sense. So whenever, like if I say it takes me 30 minutes to drive up into Atlanta, well, that distance might be 26 miles, it might be 20 miles or whatever, but we are more in tune with the time aspect of it. So I think that's kind of interesting. I never really thought about that before. Of course, don't really interact with people from Europe much at all, but that's kind of interesting how we've adopted that as our measurement. Yeah, it's going to be 3 hours to X, whatever it is. So just kind of interesting when you think about it. But anyway, glad you're here. If I didn't say it already, another extra bell. Rick Stevenson, currently 80 degrees here in Panama. Yeah, I was in Panama in 87, I think. But I wasn't there for fun. I was training. Rick Gain, very valid reason for returning the products. It's sad that the companies refusing to return or not willing to compromise their policies, especially in a situation like this. I agree, Rick. I'm glad you're here. And I'm sure there are variables involved. Like, if they have, I don't know, you try to put yourself in their perspective once in a while, and you go, well, what does it mean for them to give stuff or take stuff back? In street or track, he was basically like, as long as it's not destroyed or bent or anything like that, he'd take it back. And if he needed to like repowder coat something, he said he would repowder coat it and put it back on the shelf. So that was pretty cool of him. And now, whatever the policies are for total control, I don't know. They may just say, well, we're not going to, that's our policy, period. We don't take stuff back. You ordered it, you're stuck with it. So that's kind of how they're doing it anyway. Dwight Douglas, Sick Week is a drag and drive event that happened last week in Florida. Oh, okay. I didn't know that. I guess I do now. Dawn, yep, Lewis, great-grandson. Of course, he's the cutest. Well, yes, that's obvious, Dawn. So, yeah, no doubt about that. Jeff, 72 F100 short bed coyote swap. Ooh. Or do we say coyote? I think that's what you're supposed to say, that word. We all say coyote because of the cartoon. Wile E. Coyote, right? But I think the actual way to say that is coyote. And nobody says coyote swap that I know of. Richard Vogel. Good evening, Barry. You look marvelous. Well, thank you, Richard. Thanks for that. Nick Moss says hello. Hello, Nick. Glad you're here. D. Lace, I wonder in Europe if you feel that time is moving fast. I don't know. I don't know. Nick, I sent pics of that glove box door I finally got to install and moved my heater vents to the console because the kick panel speakers were in the way. I love that door. All right, let's see here. Let's see, we're going to download a couple of these. And you know what? I'll just to mention this is funny to me. I always get these offers from companies wanting me to talk about their product or sell their product for them or whatever. I've had 2 of these offers now from UTK, and it's for a infrared heating wrist for right hand fast heating pad black. So they're trying to get me to put up a heating pad on my YouTube channel. And, bless their heart, they're not looking at my views or not looking at what my product line is. They're looking at my views and whether it would be beneficial for them to have my, endorse their stuff. And I can tell you this, I've said it before, I'm not going to do that. If they are... it has to be at least car related, and it has to be something that I would probably use. And although I may use one of those, I'm not going to put it on my channel, just so you know. And I get it. They're trying to just get views, right? Okay, so here's Nick's glove box. Look at that. So are those your vents down in the bottom there, Nick? I guess your left and right vent. Huh. That's interesting. And here's another shot. That does look pretty cool, Nick. I have to ask, what are the two holes for in the dash? There's two little holes, Nick. What's up with those? Is that for the CB radio? Because that's all you need right now. You need a CB radio on top of your heater box. And then put your little mic right up there on that where those two holes are, and you'll be perfect. Because, you know, that's what you need to have, a CB radio. That completes the whole look of the race car stuff. You know, you're running away from the cops, got your little CB mic going. Rick, sick week was in Georgia on day 4. It's just not confined to Florida. I guess I'm not familiar with that at all. Richard, very cool looking Nick, and Dawn, been watching drag and drive videos myself. Hope to take Betsy on one this year. Yeah, well, I hope so too, Dawn. And Nick says, yes, they are. It's for my Holly Dash. Okay, talking about the vents there. Yeah. That glove box is very cool, Nick. I like it. I like it a lot. Oh, here's something else that I wanted to bring up. I know that there's some events coming up this year. There is Ponies in the Smokies. It looks like, I don't know. I don't feel like I'm gonna be able to make that one. Kind of late when in the process for me to get set up for that. I can't say 100% no, but probably not. The other one that has come to mind is there is a 60th. The Mustang Club of America is doing a 60-year anniversary event at the Barber Motorsports thing over in Alabama. I'm debating on trying to get to that one. It looks like either one would be really cool to do, but we'll see. I have to. There's a lot of things that have to line up for me to be able to do those events and stuff like that. I've also was invited to Bronco Fest up in Tennessee. Probably, you know, it's tough for me to get away, just to be honest. But I'd love to do some of that stuff. But who knows? Who knows if I will be able to pull off any of that. There's a lot going on, it seems like, everywhere. And there's more to come. There's more to come. Let me see where I'm at here. I'm going to give Robert an invite so he can join us as well. I know he's been enjoying going out in his shop at this point because of the weather has been kind of okay. And I know that's going to change pretty dramatically very soon for him. The other things that I managed to get done this past week, which isn't much, but I helped my son put a radiator in his Honda Passport. That thing's been leaking antifreeze for a while. And unfortunately, I'm not able to always help him or interact and say, you know, let me see it, whatever. I try to when I can. And as he kept telling me about the symptoms getting worse and worse, I told him, get a radiator. It's bad. And so he did. And, of course, you run into the situation where Amazon is convenient. You order a part from them. They sent the part, and it was a correct part. But unfortunately, in shipping, the two transmission lines were bent. So he contacted that company. They sent him another one. And that one, too, had two bent transmission lines. Now, or one, for sure. They weren't that bad. I ended up straightening him out, getting it serviceable. And so we were able to get the radiator in and take care of that. And then the other thing we need to do is get the power steering pump swapped out. Trying to keep it running. And of course, the other thing is I'm still looking for a car for our daughter. Her Kia blew a head gasket, and it's probably not going to be worth fixing. So I've been on the hunt, probably for more than likely a Honda CRV. And it's tough to find the right combination of mileage, year, and condition. And there's plenty of them out there, but some are wanting crazy money for a 2008 because it's got low miles on it, and some are wanting less money for a 2013 because it's got 200,000 miles on it. So it's kind of hard to find the happy medium, and that's what I'm trying to work towards at this point. Looks like Robert is out in the shop, and I'm going to say ready to go. So let's get Robert on and see what's going on in his part of the world.
Oh, hang on, I'm still getting situated here.
Okay.
Because my foot stand is drawers that hold my tools down here. So
Okay, that'll work.
yeah, we're looking the other way in the shop this time. So,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah. So you actually see the back of the car. Since I've been working on all the getting all these 2x4s up on the ceiling behind me,
Yeah.
I've had to move everything back and forth, and you know how that goes.
Oh yeah, I do.
I need to get to there, which means everything here has to move over there, and then I need to get to there, so that's got to move, and then I've got to do something else here, and it never ends. It never ends.
So let us know the plan for the 2x4s is
Well, you can see where the steel framing is.
yes.
And there is white insulation up there, but it's all pinched, so it really doesn't do much. So what I'm doing is like let me try this.
Tatanka.
Yeah. Well, but we're right there on the edges there next to the metal. I'm cutting that plastic so the insulation will puff out as I put another layer up there.
Okay.
So it'll end up it looks ugly up here. It's just covered in Tyvek just to hold it up.
Yeah.
But I will say, when I was up here putting one piece up, insulation up here, a couple days ago, 75 degrees or so, and I reached, back in there because I didn't run something, I had to cut part of the plastic off. I reached up in there. I was like, whoa, that was toasty warm in there. Closer to, in the insulation up closer to the roof. It was like, okay, it's working.
Okay.
It's doing its thing.
So the 2x4s are going to remain exposed, or are they going to get covered?
I don't know. Well, like I said, right now I'm putting the insulation up, and then I staple Tyvek over it for now.
Yeah.
I want to put something on it, obviously in the future. I don't know what it'll be. There's some plastic stuff called truss core, which would be really awesome. But when you look at the price, and it's like, how many dollars per sheet?
Okay.
But it's lightweight. That's what I like, because I don't want to add any more weight than I have to. So I'm thinking, I found a place locally that has, like that wainscoting stuff that you get, that's little strips, and
like a beadboard looking thing.
Yeah, but it's all, it's a whole bunch of little narrow ones, and you have to nail them on. Well, I found a place that has some, like, we're not talking A grade, B grade, we're talking like D grade.
Yeah.
I don't care, but it's really thin and it's really light. So I was thought about, if I can get enough of that, maybe I'll, use that, put that up there. Maybe I'll cover it in tarps. I don't know.
Well, I mean, sheetrock may not be an option.
No, it actually, and it's 24-inch on center, so that's something else to take into account.
Yeah.
I mean, you could do half-inch on it, but we're talking, sheetrock's heavy. Even half-inch OSB. I think OSB is actually, I looked up the weights, I don't remember, but one of them was heavier. I think the OSB was actually heavier than the drywall, than the ultralight drywall.
Well, you could get that thin little plywood stuff that I put up in here.
Exactly.
It's just be done with it.
The only thing that's a pain is when you get up to this stuff here where the trusses are, you got a notch around it. But basically, I'm 10 foot, but from truss to truss. It's a metal building, so it doesn't have a whole lot of
structure.
Structure doesn't need it. It's 2x2 square tubing. So I've got a quarter of it done.
Okay.
I have enough to finish this half above me, but then I need another bunch of bales of insulation to finish the rest. And insulation is expensive these days.
That's not a good sign.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I was looking at this like, yeah, it's 100 something bucks a bundle. And just to finish, yeah, just to finish what I need up here, I need like 3 bundles. And I'm like, geez, I remember buying that stuff before. It's like you buy a roll for a couple bucks,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
It's like everything else. And the other thing is, I hate fiberglass insulation
Yeah.
because
I
when I do this, I put my Tyvek suit on, I put my mask on, a full face mask with respirator because
yeah.
that stuff is so nasty. And when we're working overhead,
Yeah.
definitely not fun at all.
So Jerry says, I guess we can call Robert a pilot. Pilot here, pilot there, pilot everywhere.
Oh yeah, yeah. There's stuff just everywhere.
Dave Britton checking in. Glad to hear Dave. And Don says, how about Luan plywood? Good low.
Yep. Yeah, that's
absorb-
what Barry put on his wall, and that's a
Yeah.
possibility. I wish I could get within a reasonable price 10-foot pieces of it because that would make it a piece of cake to go up there. Because, like I said, the trusses.
Did they even make 10-foot pieces?
They do. It's just I have to go to one of the regular. I actually think Fort Worth Plywood, plywoodcompany.com.
Okay.
For us, that's a great resource. But they have plywood, lumber, But it's amazing. Even on OSB, you go from 8 foot to 10 foot. It's 50% more for that bigger sheet.
Yeah.
Not,
Yeah, that's tough to deal with. Car Guy Troy, late as always. What did I miss? A bunch of things. You have to go back and watch again.
You were talking about a distance and driving, and I was in Greece. I got a friend over there now. Him I email back and forth, but we were talking about going places. I was talking to we're talking tell him exactly like that. It's like he said, well, how far is it from here to for you to go to here to there? So 2 hours, but what time of day?
Yeah.
Because that's the other deciding factor. It's like around here, it's like if I want to go from here to somewhere else in Dallas, I need to know what time of day you want to get there to tell you what time of day we need to leave.
Yeah.
Because it may take us 45 minutes. It may take us 2.5 hours.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. And it's like the sad part is I'd rather drive up to Oklahoma City than drive to the other side of Dallas. Because at certain times of day, that's a 3-hour drive with essentially normal traffic to Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
There are times it can take that long to get to the other side of Dallas.
Yeah.
And it just, yeah.
I would just rather not drive into Atlanta at all. Like,
yeah.
ever. And then when you do it, it always directs you to go around 285. And sometimes 285, the problem with that is, you end up with areas where, let's say the roads, you could lose a car in.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and you hit stuff like that, and people are blowing out tires from the road being so bad, and you don't see it coming, in your semi trucks, and it's a mess. It's always a mess.
And it's like when I went from your place up to Charlotte from there and back, and it was pouring down rain and it was cold, going through that freeway. And I will say, Atlanta drivers are far better drivers than Texas drivers.
Oh, really?
They are far more courteous. They're more predictable. Yeah.
I don't know what part of Atlanta you drove through, but
Yeah, it was much nicer than driving here. Here is basically, it's a racetrack. You're driving on it's like a dirt track. It's a racetrack, and everybody's
yeah,
and that's just what it is.
yeah. Lawrence McGillicuddy. I finally got my Quick Performance 9-inch rear end installed, 377 gears. What a difference from the original 7 1/4. That's good to hear.
Yeah.
Good for you.
What was the original ratio that you had before?
That's a good question. I would. So Lawrence, let us know what your ratio was, just so we have a ballpark idea.
Yeah, I'm just curious to see what you think of the change, the difference in ratio too.
Roger says, Robert, that is a frightening thought. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it is. Driving here is horrible. It really is.
I'm just Atlanta is just downright scary anytime.
Well, and what makes Atlanta really tough is that everything's funneled to one freeway.
Yeah.
At least here, you've got 820, which is a big loop, and then you've got you have basically three different roads that you can go east to west on. So you may be going to the north side, but you can go down across, come up. It might take you longer, but it was a nicer drive.
Well,
Nicer.
what always messes me up, I say mess, I'm used to it now, but when you go around Atlanta, so you
Hmm.
got 285.
Yeah.
Okay, great. If you're coming from the south side, it'll say 285. Let me think how they word this. It'll say north or west or east or west. It'll say
Hmm.
north. Well, no, it won't even say north. It'll say east and west.
Hmm.
Well, then when you start coming around, you're on the east side or the west side, and then it becomes 285 north and south, and then it connects back at the top, and then it becomes again east and
Yeah.
west. And it's like, well, it's all the same thing. There is no.
Hmm.
I get what you're coming from, but
Yeah.
it, you should realize at this point it's a circle.
Yeah.
There
It's
really is no.
See, that's like here we've got 35 that goes north and south, but it splits off both above and below DFW because you've got west that goes through Fort Worth and east that goes through Dallas. So it just goes out, comes back, and 35 west is the much better road to take of the two. If you're just traveling through, don't go through Dallas if you don't have to.
Car guy Troy, that's how I feel about going to Salt Lake. Hate it, not near the traffic you guys have, but still zero fun, too busy.
It's been a while since I've been there, but I didn't mind Salt Lake City. It was a nice small town. But then again, don't forget how many people we have here.
Oh yeah,
Something like 8, 9 million people or something. I don't
yeah,
know what it is. DFW has more than the Houston area does now.
okay,
So yeah,
a lot.
yeah.
Dawn says the Betsy was 325 for the 6-cylinder rear end.
Hmm.
So
And
uh,
I haven't watched his last video,
yeah,
but the more I watch some of the stuff he's having to deal with the balance and this and that and the other, it's like, when I was doing a lot, mainly GM stuff, it's like, I miss just doing the GM stuff because you put a flywheel on, you put this on, it just worked.
yeah,
The timing cover just worked. I didn't have to figure out, I got to use this one from that here to do this with that, and too complicated.
yeah. Lauren says it is a 66 Mustang straight 6 switched over to 302. I don't know what the original rear end was. Okay, that's all right. Dawn helped us out with that.
Yeah.
And PT Dave says, Lawrence, I can help with that. Okay. Yeah, we were talking about these parts, and I know you put in that. What was the name of that front suspension stuff you put in?
CCP.
Is it TCP?
CCP.
Is it still Total Control?
No, CCP. Like the like over in almost like a Russian type thing. CCP.
Oh, Charlie Papa.
Yep.
Okay,
It-
CCP. Okay, I can't hear you so good. That's just me.
Oh, it could be this thing up here, but
Well, no, it's probably me. Because somebody had posted on one of the forums about that, and they were asking some questions, and I can't remember what the specifics were, but I saw the picture and I was like, "Hey, Robert put that in, or is going to put that in."
yeah. Well, I put it in and then I
Yeah.
took it back out.
Right.
Yeah. I don't have any problems with that kit at all. I mean, I did modify it because I wanted more adjustability. So the bottom, I've got adjustment on the factory where the factory arms would go, because I don't know how much adjustment I'm going to need when this thing goes together, because all aftermarket parts up front, you don't know where, this bolt and that bolt, if they're in the right place.
Yeah.
You don't know. So it's like, I just want all kinds of adjustability, and then you can adjust it out and make it work.
Yeah.
Because it was a 7 and up, had adjustable down there
Yeah.
on the lower control arm. So I did the same thing.
So Dave is asking Lawrence, did you get the Mustang with the V8 swap already done? And we usually change the diff when doing the 6 to swap. Yeah. Yeah. I think he's already got everything. Yeah, he says he did it. So he's already up to speed on all that stuff. So
Yeah, I have no idea what the ratio was in mine because that was well, figure out whatever the Maverick had
okay.
because it was a Maverick rear end that was under it.
Oh, okay.
It's 1970 Maverick rear end that was under it. So just so you know, it actually fits pretty well.
Okay.
If you're really desperate for a rear end, it's not a bad fit.
That's good to know. Uh, Dave says usually gearing was open 2.8. Okay.
Yeah, my El Camino was a 2.41, and it was
Ooh.
just, and there was in the worst they ever had was a 2.14. They actually made a 2.14, and I'm like, that's great if you got a big old diesel pushing it. But we
Yeah.
all know those 7.5 inch rear ends and those things,
Oh.
they will hold up forever as long as you don't get traction.
Yeah. I was gonna say, do you have to have somebody push you to get started? Because that's a horrible ratio.
Yeah, even the 241 was horrible. Even when I put the overdrive in it, it's got a lower first gear, and I ended up found a it was a Monte Carlo SS in the yard. I wish I had pictures of it. The thing was hideous. Somebody chopped the top off. It was purple and white striped interior and outside. Hideous thing. But it had a good 373 rear end in it. So that ended up, going in the El Camino.
Yeah. Well, at least it sacrificed itself for something to a good purpose.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. I haven't. That's one of the things I think I talked about before. Is I need to figure out what I'm going to do with the rear end in Jade, because I'm not confident with it.
What is it doing?
It's kind of howling.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know what the status was before because I never drove it with the rear end in it. I only had it, and it had that mini spool in it. I took that out, put everything back together. So I honestly don't know the condition of that rear end.
Is it only on acceleration or only on deceleration, or all the time?
I think it's all the time.
Okay, because if it was one or the other, pinion bearing.
Yeah.
Because the pinion pushes back, the two different directions.
The other thing that bothers me on it is the housing is a W, and they're inherently weak. Maybe that's what W stands for, weak. But after researching that a little bit, I'm like, so I may end up just getting a whole different setup.
You could do that's because the 7 and 8 was the wider one. You can just put an Explorer rear end in that and not narrow it.
Okay.
It's done a lot. The only problem with that is, because that is offset a little bit, if you lower the car too much, then you can have interference issues with the floor pan corner back there. For the stock height, it's not an issue.
Yeah.
It's nothing to worry about.
Because that rear end that I have is that narrow 59 Mercury station wagon rear end.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I had to actually put spacers on it.
Yeah.
Because it's too narrow.
Yeah.
Which
I would rather have be too narrow than too wide.
Yeah.
Yeah. But some of it you can do with wheels.
PT Dave, I went with Quick Performance 355 track lock, so much better. Okay. I'll keep that in mind. Going forward, I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to get as far as a ratio.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to leave the C4 in it, at least in Jade.
Yeah.
Lawrence gave a thumbs up, and I like mine. Big difference. Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure. Okay, so Robert, once you get, are you going to try to finish up the shop, or are you going to be back on the car?
I've been doing more of the trying to get the shop, somewhat, I just don't have room.
Yeah.
Over here, I still got a pile of 2x4s over here. I got a pile of insulation. I've got materials just piled on the floor.
Yeah.
It gets in the way of doing anything. I do have, the video for the rest of the rear end is done. I've edited it mostly. I don't like it, but yeah. I'll try to fix it.
Yeah.
I tell you, I do have one in my that I've been wanting to do. It's about these mini splits, because I've watched a few different videos here and there about those things, and there's so much missing information when it comes to those on what to pick and because everybody just says, oh yeah, I bought this thing and put it in. It's like there are so many little factors that come into choosing which one you actually buy.
Yeah.
It's not as clear cut as, oh, this is the size I want, that's what you buy. There's a whole lot to it,
Yeah.
in reality, to what you want to pick and what you want to buy, because you may buy it. There's one thing I don't like about mine. It's 220. Had I bought a 110 version of it, which would have been actually more expensive, but if I bought a 110 version, I could easily run that off of solar panels, because the inverters are cheaper for 110 than they are for split phase 220.
Okay.
Because that's something I'd like to do, because solar's not a problem there, and panels are cheap.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's something I'd like to do, but being it's 220, that bumps up the cost of doing it, because you need either two inverters, or you need a specialty one that is a split phase.
Okay.
I don't think you can run it off of like a European type, where it's 220 on one leg and neutral on the other. I don't think it'll run off of that. I think it needs split phase.
Well, I know they're pretty popular in Europe.
Oh yeah,
They're very popular.
oh yeah. When I expect when they're in Greece, it's like that's all you see. They're everywhere. They're everywhere, and they're really efficient. I mean, when it was 12, 13 degrees, stayed perfectly fine in here. Kept everything from freezing. And at one point, it was actually it was 60 something degrees, and when it was 12, 13 degrees out, and it's sitting there just pumping out hot air.
Yeah.
But that was before I found the setting that I could set it at 45 and use less electricity.
Yeah. Kevin says, I use Robert's CPP front suspension, ran into the same issue with the coilovers. Hope with the weight of the motor I can actually finish the shock tower mounts. Is that what you abandoned? Is that why you abandoned the kit?
Well, I've still got it. The car's not finished, so yeah. I just want to. I don't want to have that stuff on the car when I'm working on it and getting it dirty from painting and all that. So there's no reason to have it on there. And I've got it on a body cart right now. So I did talk to. Give me a second. The company that makes the shocks. I talked to them when I had that issue, and I think they make the springs, or they can order the springs. But when I was talking to the guy there, I got a lot of good information from him, and he said, yeah, when you do it, you run into it. If it's a problem, just give me a call, tell me what you got, and we will work with you on spring lengths, and we'll get something figured out. What will work the best.
Okay.
But he did say, it was interesting when I talked to him one time, that the model of shock that they use in that kit, when I told him what shock it was, he was like, well, I would have used whatever it was, a different part number in the kit. And what I got from that is I think it's CPP is, and I get this, is like, well, I make a whole bunch of different kits for different cars. I can make this one part number work for a whole bunch of them instead of carrying more part numbers.
Right.
That's my thoughts. I don't know if that's reality or not, but that's just what I would do. And it's like, close enough, it works. It does what I need.
Yeah.
May not be the ideal perfect one, but it still works.
Dawn says, my favorite pet peeve. What they don't tell you is either its problem or exactly what you need to know. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're talking about like your heat pump, but there's things
but this is a video I'll actually be the first time I write things down, and because there's a whole bunch of little sections that I need to do to have all the information in there, because there's a whole lot of bad or missing information on those things out there.
Lawrence, anybody notice the prices of getting parts? Is it my imagine, or are they getting crazy? No, they're getting crazy.
And shipping is getting ridiculous too.
Yeah.
Yeah. After the UPS contract last year, the prices just been skyrocketing even more.
Oh yeah.
And you see UPS actually just laid off a whole bunch of people too recently, because their numbers are down. And I mean, it's at the point now where some stuff, it's like, if it was, wherever it was, like, I can drive there for less than it cost me to have it shipped.
Yeah. I'm not against that.
I kind of see, more of the short leg courier services kind of starting up again, because you could do a courier cheaper than you can, normal shipping routes.
Yeah, I had a friend who he was well into retired years, but he started his own delivery service, and it was just called Multi Delivery.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, he had gotten us parts like when we had the body shop going. There were certain parts that were on the north side of Atlanta, and we were like, "Hey, can you go get us this, this, and this?" He's like, "Sure."
Yeah.
Got in this little Ford Ranger and drove up there and brought them right back for us.
Yeah. Years ago, I used to order from a place in Dallas called Republic Auto Supply. I think they're long gone. It was a shop supply store, a small shop supply store, and I used to get my filters from them and all kinds of stuff, because I'd buy cases of them, and it's like oil filters were like $1.50.
Yeah.
In air filters, they were so cheap, and I'd buy cases of stuff, and I used to get those really big 1-quart filters for the Chevy engines.
Yeah.
Came down flush with the bottom of the oil pan. It was so long.
Yep.
And they weren't any more expensive than regular filter.
Right.
And a lot of times, I'd go over there pick it up back then because traffic wasn't bad, but now, but after a while, it was like he said, yeah, for $10 I can have a courier deliver to you. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
And just give it to courier. He, came over, dropped it off, and it was like, okay, that was kind of cool.
Yeah. PT Dave, thanks for your great videos. Mystique floor pan videos help me so much. Well, you're welcome. Glad to hear that.
That's
Kevin,
some older videos there.
What's that?
That's some older ones there.
Yeah.
Mystique ones.
Kevin says, thanks. I did the Shelby drop and hope they didn't exaggerate the issue. Talking about your shock issue.
No, actually that will it'll benefit a tiny bit from that. Because it actually lowers it down a little bit, and it gives you a little more room for the springs up there.
Okay. Bob Dumleo. Hello from Arizona. Hello, Bob. Glad you're here. Car Guy Troy. Just did bearings in my son's 97 Cobra 8.8 rear. Bearings were pitted. Super noisy. Have 2 9-inches I need to check out. The 390 car has a 9-inch, and I have a 58 9-inch that's narrower. Not sure of condition yet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that 58, if it's out of like a Mercury station wagon, it's narrow.
Yeah.
It'll fit under a 65 with no problem.
Yeah, and like when I put the rear end in the Mustang, it'll have new axle bearings in it too. I'm not going to go with, if I've got it all apart at that point, you just put new bearings and seals out there and call it done.
Yep. Randall checking in from snowy, rainy Mountain Green, Utah. Mountain Green, Utah. Sorry. Glad to hear Randall. And we have Big Boss. Thumbs up. And got a wave going. UA. Not sure what UA is.
There's only one is an airline. That's the only thing that comes to mind for me.
Yeah. It's not UAE, so. Shane Walden. I'm doing a 66 Mustang convertible currently on rotisserie. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I saw somebody had posted, it was on a Facebook page, that they were, I think they had a 60, it was a 68, and they had posted these pictures, and they said they had some rust in their quarter panel.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they were asking if it was, is this a bad thing? Like, am I going to have to do the whole quarter? Then they showed some other pictures.
Uh-huh.
Whew. It was bad. I mean, you could just grab a handful and pull it out from the quarter.
It wasn't that there was some rust. They should have said there's some metal left in the quarter.
Pretty much, yeah. And like the top arch was, like something took a bite out of it. Mm. And then he pointed out that it was a vinyl roof car, and I'm like, yep. Yeah, you got some work ahead.
I'm not a fan of vinyl roofs for multitude of reasons on anything. It's just,
yeah. I agree with that.
I see it as it was an easy way for the factory to throw that on a roof of a car. And while that one doesn't look so pretty on it, we don't want to paint that one, so let's just throw a vinyl roof on it and get it out the door.
That could be. And see, I'm not against. I like the looks of a vinyl roof. I actually do on certain cars. I like the color combinations. Mm-hmm. The problem with the original roof, we all know, is they just didn't care about putting anything down.
No, it was bare steel. Well, no, it wasn't bare steel. It was glue.
Yeah, bare steel with glue on it. And they were like, okay, here we go. See you.
Call it done, yeah.
Now modern preparations, you paint that thing, clear
Oh
coat
yeah.
it, everything, and then put the top on.
The thing that when you do get a one that looks good, I always come down to where the edge of it ends, and it's always this ugly piece of trim because there's not a good way to end the vinyl and go into the sheet metal.
Yeah.
There's just not a good way to make that transition really nice, and that's what I'll see it. Some cars is like, man, it looks really good. Then I get up close, it's like, and I see that ugly piece of chrome trim or something on there. It's
Yeah, and there's no way around it.
there's no good way.
Yeah. Lauren says, I like the partial vinyl roof, like on a 77 Eldorado.
Wasn't that one padded as well?
I think it was very puffy.
Yeah,
Very puffy.
yeah.
Dawn says, the Landau roof. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Shane, I'm currently doing a 66 Mustang convertible. It's on the rotisserie right now, fixing to put on TCI Mustang 2 front suspension. That's a good thing to do.
That was the other route. I probably should have gone on this one instead of what I did. But I went ahead. I already had the shock towers and that stuff bought and put on there, and if I could go back in time when I had it all apart, I would have gone with the Mustang 2 type suspension.
Yeah.
If I had to do it again.
Oh, sorry. Lauren says, yeah, Landau. And then, Carl Troy, have you put together your rotisserie yet? Looking for a review. I have not put it together yet. I'm just not willing to lift anything that's heavy at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I'm being very cautious. And I'm also not ready to set the car on it. So I don't know that I want to put it together. I guess I could do an assembly video and talk about it.
Well, there's nothing light about that rotisserie.
No,
There's
it's going to be.
There are no light. The only light parts are the nuts and bolts. Everything else is heavy.
Well, the net weight is 233 kilograms, whatever that is.
Just double it and add a little bit.
Yeah,
I do. It's 1.1 pounds. So
the gross weight is 254. That's in the crate. So, yeah, it's going to be close to 450. No, probably close to 500 pounds.
Yeah,
overall.
Because when I do kilos to pounds, I double it and I add a little bit to it, and just
Yeah. That works.
Yeah.
Oh, Dawn says yes, the caddy was puffy.
Mm-hmm.
And Cargo Troy, yeah, I forgot. Best to recover first for sure. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you know what? Here's something I thought was interesting. The other day, I was just doing a random search on movies,
Mm-hmm.
and I pulled up the original Gone in 60 Seconds.
Yeah.
And it's still a fun movie to watch.
Mm-hmm.
It is still fun to watch, and parts of me want to. When I saw that car, like there's a shot where he pulls it out of the parking garage, and the horn is making alarms going off. When he shuts the hood on that car and he's wearing his little suit, whatever, that car looks so good.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not the best looking Mustang, but right there, that little shot was like,
Yeah. Whoever set up the shot and shot it just did a good job. Yeah.
yeah.
And it's just the right angles, and it just looked good. Yeah.
Now, and just to give you some background, if you haven't researched or seen any of the videos on that car itself,
Mm-hmm.
they said there were two cars made for that movie. H.B. Halicki, or Halicki, however he wants to say it, was the owner, the writer, the everything, right?
Yeah.
The stunt man. He did everything.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, when he did the car jump, he compressed his spine and was hurt on that car jump where it nosed in.
Yeah.
But they made two cars, right? One was the hero car,
Mm-hmm.
which is all for the good shots, and then, of course, the stunt car. And I saw pictures of it. There's like a video somewhere that says things you didn't know about the Gone in 60 Seconds car. The car was they were both actually 71 models. It was meant to be a 73. It was easier to get a 71 and put 73 trim on it.
Mm-hmm.
There's a picture of him working on the stunt car. He de-skinned that whole thing. De-skinned it. Put in basically a NASCAR chassis into that car, added all kinds of extra bracing. That's why the car's still drivable today.
Mm-hmm.
And then reskinned it and did all the body work. And I must say, he did a tremendous job on that, because even as you're seeing it doing the stunts, it's clean. It looks really clean. The angles and stuff where they're showing, you would expect to see the roll bar.
Yeah.
He had all that stuff hidden, and it was really impressive. But they showed the, I don't know if you remember the scenes or not, but there was a scene where he was racing down the highway, and this car clipped him, spun him around, and he hit a pole.
Okay. Yeah.
Right in front of the cowl. I mean, it mangled that car, and they said in that shot he was knocked out from that impact, because that wasn't planned. That was not part of the scene, but they went with it, and they actually, I guess they maybe had to put the suspension back together. I'm sure, I don't know.
Yeah.
But just the fact that it survived that crash, and they were able to keep it going. So
there must have been a lot of steel in that thing.
well, like I said, it was. They said that when they did the stunt where they jumped it, if I heard them correctly, he hit that ramp at 100 miles an hour. Then they showed it in slow motion.
Yeah.
And launched it, but they said in that video that he hit it at about 100 miles an hour. The car went 35 feet in the air, which is really high, and it traveled like 120 feet and landed on its nose. And when it did, it was still able to drive off. So they had to add all kinds of structural stuff to that thing. But I'd like to see that car in person. But it's I think it's at the Peterson Automotive Museum, or it was.
Where is that?
I think it's out west. I want to say it's out in California, I think.
Okay.
But man, just and also, I think there was a prequel to that. There was another movie, I haven't seen it, but it was called The Junk Man. From what I understand, there's another movie called The Junk Man where he did a similar something.
Yeah.
And then when he was making the next sequel to Gone in 60 Seconds, that's where he got killed. Because they were doing some stunts, and a telephone pole fell, landed on his car, and killed him. And they said all the footage they took just destroyed the footage, just got rid of everything. And the hero car from the original Gone in 60 Seconds, he crushed it personally. He just got rid of it. And I'm like, oh man, just really some interesting stuff. In fact, the color of the car was not original color. They painted it school bus yellow.
Ooh.
That was the color they put on that car, was a school bus yellow. Ooh. Just kind of really, interesting facts, because you look back at that stuff when they were doing those stunts, crashing police cars and all that stuff. There's no fakery to that.
No,
there's really. I
was watching. I don't know. It's been a little while ago. The original Death Race.
Yes.
I was watching that a little while ago, and it's just like I forgot how cheesy it was.
Yes, it was very cheesy.
Cheesy. It was, to be honest, it was boring.
Yeah.
It was such a slow. It was just, I hadn't seen it long ago. It's such a slow movie.
There was a lot of drawn out, long scenes talking about relationships or whatever and all this stuff, and it's like, oh, come on, just run over somebody.
Yeah.
But it's funny too. Those cars they used in that one. If you look at them, one was a Corvette. One was a Manta, I think, the fiberglass bodied Volkswagen.
Yeah.
I don't know what the other ones were, but those are the two that stand out to me.
Yeah, I'd have to go back and look at part of it, because it just until you see it again, it doesn't ring a bell.
Yeah. So Rick says 71 was the only year that you could get a non-Boss 429. Yeah. Bad Harry is checking in. Hello there. Glad you're here. And Ron Walker also says hello. Hello, Ron. Glad you're here.
You're talking about this, like the 428s and the 429s and all those. And my dad, when he got out of the Air Force, he was plant manager for an engine rebuilder here in Fort Worth. It was AGAP. AGAP was the company. The name existed. Somebody bought it, It's over in Dallas. But the original A-gap, and it was sold. They had warehouses all over the country. There was a Nationwide Engine Auto Sales, but it used to have. If you saw that, you see the bags that say Signa Pro on the bags of the engines. That was them.
Okay.
And it was really. And this has been years ago, but I remember, they would have guys that would call them up and say, "I've got a whatever this is engine out of this Lincoln or whatever it is," and say, "Hey, can you guys rebuild it?" And they say, "Yeah, we can do that." And they quote them a price and say, "Well, but that's like twice the price of a 454 or whatever." And he says, "Well,
Yeah.
yours is a one-off engine. I can do 350s, 454s, 351s. I can do 100 of them at a time. I can set up all the equipment. I can run through and make them all. But you want that one engine done, you are interrupting, the line for all these other engines." And then the other one was, he also said, "Be prepared to have a spare engine, because I will bet you money most of those parts are going to magnaflux as bad."
Yeah.
And the guy already said, he said, "I've got a spare just in case." Because but that was the big thing with a lot of those. And a lot of these guys say, "Well, I want my original engine rebuilt for my car." You pull it out, you tear it down, you magnaflux it. It's like, okay, crank's bad, block is bad, heads are bad. You sometimes you cannot rebuild your original engine.
Yeah.
Unless you want to deal, you just say, "Okay, I don't care about the cracks in it," and just machine it and put it back together, which I think happens a lot, to be honest. I think that happens a lot with a lot of engines out there.
Yeah.
And especially when you're just taking it, or you take it to some little, like you used to take it to the local parts store that had a machine shop. They would just machine it, hand it back to you, and you'd put it together. And you'd say, "Man, why is it overheating? And why is it doing this?" "Oh, you didn't know you had a crack there because nobody magnafluxed it."
Yeah.
And just things like that. But it was interesting. There was it was neat when he was there, because I learned a whole lot of interesting stuff from that. And I've got his book that he had written up on identifying engines and part numbers and whole bunches of really good information on it. And a lot of times I'll see guys talking about like small block Chevys and say, "Well, I've got this, this head has got this casting number in it, so it's a such and such." And it's like, no.
What was the book?
It was one that he made. It was his
Oh,
book.
okay.
It's his own, yeah. And there's because he spent his whole life doing that stuff. So,
Yeah.
he had his own stuff they wrote up, and it was interesting. Like with the casting numbers, a lot of people, especially GM, they said, "Well, it's got this casting number in it." Well, that casting number tells you that it's a head for such and such. Well, but that's not what it is. You don't go by the number. You go by the little shape in the end of the head. Because they would take molds, modify the mold. It still has that other casting number in it. We don't care about casting numbers. We modify it. We change the shape at the end of the head.
Yep.
And that's the identifier down there. It's the shape at the end of the head, not the casting number. Because you're going to modify your cores, for your molds. You're not going to make all, new cores for everything. So they did a lot of that. And he said it was interesting because they would get say core engines in. They'd get a 350. And they a 350 that had never been taken apart, still had all the original factory gaskets and stuff in it. Look at the heads, and it's like it's got 267 heads on it. Or it'll have a 305 head on this side and a 350 head on that side.
Yeah.
There was a whole lot of, and all the car companies did this.
Yeah, I remember looking about,
get it out the door.
Some of those configurations, like, of course, everybody will look, oh, it's got double humps.
Yeah.
That was the big thing. And then the 461 and 462s, there was some value to having that number of, model number, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And you're right, though. You look at stuff that's the unique stuff. It's got a 429, okay. Or is that good or bad?
Yeah.
Is there something better that can replace that? Like a 390. Are you further ahead just building a 390, being done with it?
And a lot of those, there's a lot of oddities like, well, it came with this, but it's going to cost me twice as much to rebuild that engine as it would to buy a similar size or bigger engine of a different type and just put that in there.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you have to get rid of your original engine. Hold on to it.
Right.
Somebody else that gets the car might want it. But sometimes you're just money ahead, just putting a different engine in the car if you just want to drive it,
Yeah.
and then and then the time of these days finding a machine shop to do it. It's they're not on every
Yeah.
corner anymore, and even around here, there was a Gateway Auto Supply was around years ago, and they had you could take to a couple of locations, you could take blocks and heads, and they'd machine it and do all that stuff for you. These days, I haven't the foggiest clue where I would go to have that done. I
Yeah.
do not know if I wanted to have it done. I don't know. I don't know of anybody because most
Nope.
of that equipment it's gone.
Yeah.
It's gone.
Now, thankfully, I don't know how long it'll stay, but we have a machine shop right here in town. I haven't used them in quite some time because I haven't had a reason to.
Yeah.
But they seem to always have work in their shop, which is good for them. You're talking about keeping the original engine. That's what I have the engine from my Mach 1, which is a 351 Windsor, probably a 2-barrel motor. And I'm just going to leave it alone. I'm not going to pull it apart. I'm not going to pull the heads. I'm not going to do anything to it. It's just going to sit here. And I'm going to take another 351 that I have and hand it to a buddy of mine. Here, build me my stroker motor. And you tell me what it's going to cost, basically. It's like, I'm not going to do it because I don't want to.
Yeah.
And he does it all the time. So it makes more sense. He's familiar with these things. He's the one that built the motor for Jade.
Yeah.
And here, have at it.
And it's like I've done them. I've done engines, at least gotten the blocks and heads and done all that stuff. And I don't really have a lot of desire to do that anymore.
Well, I'd probably be like I've built more Chevy engines than I have Ford.
Same here. I'm much more familiar with the Chevys.
Yeah, and I'm familiar with them. And when I built the stock car motor, that was a tremendous engine. I mean, they talk about core shift and all that sort of thing, high nickel and blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
This one met all those parameters. And a friend of mine, he was heavily into doing his own everything. Like he would get it machined, but then he did all the trick stuff at his house.
Yeah.
And he had the old school balancing. Like he had this rod machine that you would hang the rod on and set it on a scale. And he showed me how to do it, and I balanced everything for that engine. And then we chamfered all the edges for the oil drains, so there was no restrictions there. It was a lot of cool stuff that went into that engine. And unfortunately, that engine is no longer in my hands. It went with the 55 Chevy, which is actually right up the street. And the guy, I know he has never fired that thing up and driven it.
Oh.
It's just been sitting there for whatever it was, 5-6 years ago. And I don't know. I hate to think of it just sitting there because that's a tremendous engine.
Yeah. Yeah, but and it's just as close as I will get to that will be for this one here. I'll probably just get from a running Ford Explorer, get a running drivetrain for Explorer. That I don't mind because that I'll just tear it down, clean it up, probably swap the cam out, a few other things, call it done. I'm not looking for super duper high performance or anything like that. I just want something that's decent cam, decent this. I'm happy with it,
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I don't need to put a stroker in the Mach 1. But I want one.
I get it. I wouldn't say no to that either.
Yeah. I want to have that power whenever I want to do a burnout somewhere. And it's just not even, I don't even think about it. Just let's go. Well,
the 373 will take care of that. You
What's
put
that?
Put a 373 rear in it. And,
yeah.
You just do that all day long. And that was the problem I have with the El Camino was when I put that 373 in it, even though the weight distribution is about 50-50, the problem was is you just you make a left turn. I'm just you're drifting around the turn without trying.
Yeah.
You kind of get to the point where you got used to just drifting around a turn because it was going to do it.
Yeah.
Whether you wanted to or not.
So Don is saying his favorite machine shop guy said he was retiring in 2 months. Yep. And car guy Troy, not as many machine shops around here either, although the ones that are still in business are crazy busy. 6-month wait list I checked.
Yeah.
That's impressive. Don's Manufacturer, I thought about building an all aluminum 347. Ooh. Well, if you want to build one and send it to me, I'll take it.
It's like I thought about years ago, I wanted to get one of those aluminum 350 blocks that, GM Performance sold. I wanted to get one of those and build an engine, and
Never happened.
Nope. No.
Yeah, I've got a friend who's into drag racing. He has, if you were to look up Bad Juju, that's his race car's name. It's really cool, 55 Chevy, painted up. He's the one I got the 55 Chevy from, mine. But this car it's green with all kinds of crazy colors and paints on it. And he has he's one of these, everything has to be old school. Like, for him, his car and what he's doing, it has to be pre whatever that is, 1970 or something to that effect.
Yeah.
And he made a big deal, and he's got what is it? It's what else did they make the blocks out of? Aluminum and magnesium.
Volkswagens are made out of magnesium.
No, I mean like GM.
And that was the that was that oddity thing. It was an Oldsmobile or a Pontiac. I can't remember.
No, I think he's got a big block.
Oh, okay.
That is like a magnesium big block that was specifically built for drag racers.
Yeah.
Well, he's got one that is raw, like it was never raced.
Oh, wow.
And he's going to build it. He's going to put it in that car and run it. That's how serious he is about it. I'm like, ooh, I don't know if I could do that. Knowing that it's got a value because of what it is. He's like, nope, that's what it was meant for. I'm going to build it and run it. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I get that, but it's one of those is you want your cake and eat it at the same time. I want to have this block sitting here, but I also want it in the car.
Yeah, so he's going to do it, he says. Don says it would be the same weight as a 200 six-cylinder. Ooh.
That would be nice.
Yeah, that would be a nice combination. Terry Keithley trying to get work done on a Ford Flathead. Yeah, I have one guy that I know that does Model A work, and he's the one that built my engine and transmission.
I know. It's like the swap meets here. There's usually a couple guys that do that stuff, and they'll either have engines for sale or you can give it to them and they'll do it for you. One of the swap meets is really big Model A, Model T years ago, and it still kind of is, but that stuff there's still those guys doing that stuff, and they'll do A's and T's, they'll do flatheads, they'll do the early stuff basically.
Michael, finding a good machine shop is a job in itself. The shop to do my stroker build spec engine for local. The shop
builds spec engines for local circle tracks.
Yeah, for local circle tracks.
Yeah.
The shop. I guess some shop does stroker build spec engines. Yeah. It is hard to find people that can do the work. And Bad Harry says my 460 is getting rebuilt, 521 stroker with a 4-bolt main.
That's going to be fun. That's going to be fun. Just take the gas and just pour it down.
Yeah, just dump it.
That was the joke, like with the old Chrysler with the Hemis, was the speedometer went up almost as fast as the gas
went down. Yeah. Hey, Greg's checking in from Australia. Glad to hear Greg. That's Greg's workshop too. So glad he's here. Yeah, it's easy to get carried away with some of that stuff. It really is. Now, depending on what you're using for, I know Bad Harry, he's racing this stuff. He's got some serious drag racing things. I was having a discussion about this earlier with somebody about the ridiculousness of these people building a whatever it is, Mustang, and putting this like blower or something. They stack these things up with the big snorkel up on top to where you can't even see out of the hood.
Yeah.
And it looks like a clown car to me, like a cartoon. You pull the thing out and the engine's sitting up 1.5 feet above the roof.
It looks like
top of it.
Looks like one of those Hot Wheels that they.
Yeah, and it's like, but it's like a bad rendition of. I have these muscle machines,
Yes, that's what I was
and
thinking.
I have one sitting here, my Camaro, and that looks cool because it's just a blower with a snorkel. It's not
Yeah.
stacking up stuff for
Hmm.
no reason whatsoever. I hate those
And
cars.
I do like the look of, a big blower with twin carbs on it and a snorkel on it. But
Yeah.
go over that, no. That's
No,
just,
there's no reason for it. It just doesn't make any sense. Um, I was just trying to think if I had the little version of the Camaro. I had several cars in my drawer here. No, I don't have that one on. Oh wait, maybe I do. Yeah, like this one, like the '53 Studebaker, where it's got the, that looks cool,
hmm
but not stacked up for no reason. It makes no sense. To
Now,
even,
but what's funny is, bringing that up, you can't see anything in front of you really on that.
what's
But,
that?
but you bring that up about not being able to see in front of you because you got all that stuff there. And I have a complaint about pretty much all modern cars. When I sit in most modern cars, the visibility is horrible. It is horrible because I'm looking out the front. I've got a big pillar here, so I can't. If I'm at a four-way stop, I can't see the car over here.
Yep.
I got this pillar here. I can't see the car over there. The rear view mirror is so low on these things that if I'm going down in any kind of hill slightly,
Yeah.
I can barely see what's in front of me. I mean, it's just visibility on cars is because all these pillars are so big now.
Yeah.
The only thing that saves you is all the automated stuff that tells you, oh, there's a car there, because you can't see it. You
Right.
know, because so many times I'm like, oh crap. I'm glad you don't see it until the car till after you go through the intersection. Like I had no idea that car was there because your view is blocked
Yeah.
by everything.
Yep.
You get in old cars, it's just like I can see everything around me.
Yeah.
You know,
Rick says, looks like it's got a Mr. Coffee Maker sticking out of the hood. Yes. Very good analogy right there. Lawrence, Cannonball Run was a great car movie. Yes, it was.
not just a good car movie, but the fact of all the cool people that were in it.
Yeah.
There were just so many people in both of those movies, and it's just you will never see anything like that where you've got that level of all those people in one movie just having a good time. It may not be a great movie, but the fact that you had all those people in the
Yeah.
movie and they were having a ball. I mean, you got Frank Sinatra.
Yeah.
Just, yeah.
Dean Martin.
Oh, Dean Martin.
You had all these guys. Yeah, it was a great movie.
I would have loved to have seen them in person.
Yeah.
Dean Martin and Sammy Davis Jr. I would have loved to have seen them in person.
Troy, I need to find a place to machine the 390. Not looking for anything super crazy, just stock bottom end. I have a 6V tri-power setup. I'm going to put on it old stock Ford stuff conversation piece. Okay.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah. Lawrence says, watch the documentary on the real Cannonball Run. It was crazy. Yeah, the real Cannonball Run was crazy. And if I remember correctly,
The van in the movie.
the van,
Yeah,
they actually put it in the Cannonball Run.
yeah.
That was a custom built,
Yeah, the van that's in the movie was the real van that was
made for the Cannonball Run.
made for the Cannibal Run. And I'm trying to remember when they're starting it and they're handing out the tickets at the beginning. The girl that hands it out was actually, and I can't remember what part. She was actually in the original Cannonball Run. That
Yeah.
they made a movie about. But there's a YouTube documentary on it that is really, really good.
Yeah.
Explains all that stuff, and that van was an impressive van.
Oh, it was. And
was
they're still. I
impressive.
think they were trying to find it. They don't know what happened to it.
Yeah, and then to try to make a duplicate of it, they picked. It's like 18. They picked the most obscure year of vans.
Yeah.
Where it's
You can't even find it.
No, everything is a 1 year off thing, and yeah, but it was impressive what they did.
Yeah. Lawrence says there was an ambulance in it, and they hired a real doctor and actually got pulled over by the cops and was released. Yeah.
I think the girl, what I was talking about, I think she was the patient in the ambulance in the the real thing. I think that's what it was.
Well, there was another movie called, I think it was just called Cannonball.
Mm-hmm.
And that had David Carradine in it.
Mm-hmm.
It had the guy from Revenge of the Nerds, like the main character from
Um,
Revenge of the Nerds. He was driving a Corvette.
I could see his face. I can't
Yeah,
remember.
I
Yeah,
watched the beginning of it, and they had like, it was just like, this
it
is
was.
kind of not good.
It was kind of like Death Race.
Yeah,
It was kind of that. Yeah.
yeah. Dave Britton question is, why do so many people hate the Quadrajet carb? Robert?
I have a lot of experience with Quadrajet carbs, and I have a lot of experience with the worst ones ever made, the computer controlled ones.
Oh, yeah,
Um, I would not wish the computer controlled version on my worst enemy. Those things were now, granted, if they were set up perfect, the best drivability out there in the world, especially the computer controlled ones.
yeah,
Drivability, I mean, it was almost like fuel injection. It was that good. Uh, it just really was. But it was so sensitive, and you had all these vacuum things and all these other little things to the engine that could screw up how it ran. Um, on the previous ones that were just non-computer controlled, um, they're not that big a deal. The issue is getting them once you get them tuned. It's a great driving carburetor. It
yeah,
really is. It really is. But you can't just throw it on there and say, hey, expect it to run. It's not as forgiving as say an Edelbrock. Edelbrock is just you throw it on there. It could be tuned for a 454 and it runs okay on a 350.
I was going to say, you just take an Edelbrock and go, dunk. Okay,
Yeah,
I'm done.
it may not be perfect, but it'll
Yeah,
run and it'll work. But the
yeah,
quadrants there were so many things you could do. You could change the secondary rods and the hangers and even the cam that opened the secondaries. You could go inside and the little tubes that came down, you could drill those out. There are people that know way more about that than I ever would want to know. But
well, David said that he's never had any trouble with them, but only have had the old ones. And
mhm,
Dawn, I have lots of Quadrajet and CCC system experience, the good old days at Cadillac.
yeah. Oh, and I feel sorry for you on a Cadillac. They were even worse than Cadillac because you put the Cadillac issues in there too.
Yeah. He says also he would watch Cannonball runs whenever they happen. John Ficarra? I'm not familiar with that.
Not a fan. Yeah.
Um,
If I saw a face, I'd I just put the two together.
yeah,
And it's funny is all my Quadrajet specialty tools are in that box right over there.
yeah,
All those little, yeah. Sometimes I think about just, you know what? I just need to, melt them with a torch, and that way I never have to do that ever again.
yeah,
Uh, I I didn't like them.
yeah,
And then you got worse was after that they had these little 2 barrel carburetors on the front wheel drive cars that
yeah.
had massive nest of vacuum hoses. It had a little heater grid inside it to heat it up. Yeah, actually a grid underneath the throttle plate
Okay.
to heat the air up and the fuel mixture going into the engine when it's cold. Linkages all over it. Again, when they were brand new, worked great.
Yeah,
You go down the line and things, because you know how much extra vacuum stuff was on those, and you get leaks, you get things going, valves that act up,
yep,
and it's a nightmare to diagnose.
yeah. Um, I'm getting ready to call it a night. I was checking my allotted time available on my
I'm
StreamYard.
I'm burning it up.
And well, we're getting close to not. It's going to shut off regardless if we don't stop soon. So we're gonna have to call it a night. But Lawrence, the first year Lamborghini Countach came out in Cannonball Run. That's the one they skipped across the water.
Yeah.
And then John Ficarra tells the best stories. Look him up. Okay, I'll have to do that.
All right. Good talking to you, and I will see you guys later.
Yep. So
I'll
it
get a
was good.
video
We
out.
had some good conversation. I appreciate you contributing.
Oh, I'll get a video out one of these days, maybe.
Yeah, me too. All
The
right. We'll
numbers are
see.
starting to go up, so
Yeah. Yes. All right. We'll see you next
see
time.
you later.
Okay. So as I said, I'm running out of allotted time available. But Don, I'll look up John Ficarra and see what he has to say. But this has been a good night. I think we had some good conversation. We covered some ground, and it's nice to have Robert on as usual. He he brings some information that I'm not likely to have, and it's just nice to have a conversation sometimes and talk about different things. But I do want to thank you all for being here. I plan to be back next week, next Monday, of course, at 7 o'clock. And that's going to be it. I plan to have a video out next week for sure. And that'll be it for tonight. So until next time, take care of yourselves. See ya.